Hello, everybody. So I had some thoughts about our brains today. Um, and yeah, I'm just gonna go through them. Basically have them in note points, and I have unfortunately no desire to build this into some kind of video. So I'm just gonna go through bullet by bullet. So basically, my idea or my thought is that the left and right brain kind of have a past and future kind of aspect to it. The left being the past, the right being the future. Um, this being because the left is more analytical, processing, and determining, meaning it takes its time to determine and put together connections. Meaning that whatever it is that you this might be a stretch in the same form of it, but that the left brain or the left ear can hear the past, or is listening for the past, to make connections to things that have happened in the past. And so your right brain would be the more looking for stimulatory things, like things that are either new or somehow send a message to the left brain to process new information. So that's the general idea. I'll get into the notes. Being that the left brain is more specialized in processing, it would stand to some reason that it could be understood as being the past, this making your left ear more based in connections to the past and your right side more focused on listening for sounds, ideas, blank, blank, blank. This would embolden our personal view of time relative to our personal lives, as we would become more naturally aware of the binary between us, the binary in our brains, of one and one makes two, therefore needing less from others to find ourselves, because you're more able to look and make connections within your own brain to find what you determine to be the self. It would also mean becoming aware of the fact that we are facing both our future and our past every second we live throughout the day, which would do a lot for people who want to pursue their own personal freedoms, because becoming aware of that fact, becoming aware of that possibility would mean that every second you are aware, your brain is always processing and taking in. It's kind of a constant thing. So if that's the case, it would be this endless kind of cycle retrieval, Oh, and I had an idea about a halo type thing. You know how everybody talks about the halos in either the Bible or the video game. It's like a continual process of circling and like a loading sign, or a snake eating its own tail, or a yin and yang, or really use any of them. And yeah, so it also enhances our view that it is only in time and in the processing of thoughts through feeling that we end up making conclusions on anything. So by taking in, we eventually, through the processing, and it's kind of a muddled thing. There's a lot of specificities when it comes to neuroscience and stuff like that. So I definitely do not claim to know a lot about that. But the general idea of left brain being more focused on processing would mean it's more about the past connections it's made and how they connect to the future, rather than attempting to build new ones with the right brain. Shared consciousness with ourselves, it emboldens an idea that we are not just one, like I said before, but we are multiple within one. We are two within one, or possibly many, if you begin to cycle through and understand certain things about people being connected with each other, even when they're not. I talked about this in a prior video, but where energy and information can be transferred through possibly through the electromagnetic currents that pass through the earth, so that the earth can tell us what to do and talk to us, while we can also somehow communicate with each other, while still understanding that we are somehow one, while also being within one and also with a bunch of other ones, so who are also twos. It's kind of all over the place. Continually in a state of being one at present. That's something that we've had to quell, or had to understand for a long time, is the just being in one body, while all of this kind of processing and stuff is going on, and trying to determine who we are actually possibly sets boundaries about who we can be and proceed to be into the future. This is also like connected to some ideas of like the quantum binary of things, where it's like there's two lines, and between them there's between two supposed ends there's a sphere of all the possibilities of which could be between those two things. So conclusions to ideas in left and right brain create calmness. That's just a little note about when you either finish connections or build strong connections within your brain using neurons and stuff, then you create more calmness, because you've finished, although it may not be finished, because it's always a possibility of building, right? And that also takes it into like thinking about the constellations and the stars of the universe as reflections somehow of our brain. Like, imagine when we were just like in the beginnings of the universe, right? Or in the beginnings of human civilization, we're looking up to the stars, and maybe people just sat there for days, like staring up and allowing their brain to like go through these processes of like stars, like almost like a camera over, like exposed to an incredible amount of times, where we started to our brains started to light up in a similar way as we saw outside of us in the constellations. And so the idea of where the idea of the spirit comes from is having to find ways to logically understand ourselves as boths and singular, because we are one within our body, but we are also many binaries within that body, and so it's as if it's an endless contradiction of recurrence and what would you call it? Recycling, like reuse, always passing back towards us. Almost like if you think about us as, like I said in the first video that I made, almost as if we are the Earth, and we have our north and south poles, and we're sending kind of information around ourselves kind of to be recollected and reused, and then we make connections with other people, or we collide with other people, if you want to think about it on a planetary scale, and we take on some of whatever it is we gained or lost from them, depending on which way you want to see it. It's kind of a quantum thingy, where you then use whatever that was that gets recycled into your brain, and it kind of ends up in the cycle again. If this is true, there's a separation between the processes, in a general sense, between what the left brain is able to store and hold on to, and the way the right brain takes in and makes new connections. So it'd be interesting to look into why, or what the right brain holds on to, and maybe that's more of people want to think about that as like who they are in some ways, where it's like, if you want to think about it, it's like, what do you gravitate towards first, or what do you gravitate towards naturally? Like moths to a light or a flame. And also the way in which your left brain processes things also has a factor of determining what, if people want to like personality test it, what type of person you are. A lot of times the past becomes the devil because it makes, if we're thinking about it in religious biblical terms, the past or the left brain becomes the devil because it makes the connections to these details. Now the right brain would also be the devil of just wanting constant like stimulation and shit, but yeah, I'll cut this part. I don't think it needs this. But yeah, it's just some thoughts about the left and right brain, and how, I guess, in a way we think about ourselves. And yeah, no, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a good day.